And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Rappler's Chief Executive Officer Maria Ressa was arrested this afternoon by the National Bureau of Investigation's Cybercrime Division. The arrest is in connection with a story published by Rappler in 2012, which the Department of Justice said was defamatory and indicted Ressa for a cyber libel case. In a statement prior to her arrest, Ressa said she and Rappler will continue with its mission as journalists. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara, for his part, said Ressa may post bail for the case. Meanwhile, Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno expects inflation to further ease by the second quarter, raising chances of meeting the government's 2019 full-year target range of 2 to 4%. Diokno believes the inflation will taper off by the second quarter as there is already a significant drop from the December rate of 5.1% to the January figure of 4.4%. The budget chief explained that economic managers are coordinating with other agencies, particularly the Department of Agriculture and the National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, to strengthen the agricultural sector. The sector posted a mere 0.1% growth last year, which the Philippine Statistics Authority cited as a driving factor in the slowdown of the country's 2018 gross domestic product to a 6.2%.
In fact, there are scenarios where we'll see inflation at around 2%, maybe third, fourth quarter.
In other news, a lawmaker defends the House of Representatives from allegations that the lower chamber inserted hundreds of millions of pesos in pork barrel in the proposed 3.757 trillion peso 2019 national budget. Senator Panfilo Lacson has earlier criticized and accused congressmen of getting 160 million pesos worth of projects each in the spending bill. Lacson even urged President Rodrigo Duterte to scrutinize the approved budget and to veto the alleged pork insertions. But Co-op NATCO party list representative Anthony Bravo insists that the amendments introduced by the House were not pork barrel. Bravo also added that the items under the 2019 budget are already transparent and may be scrutinized by the public.
Pero dahil gusto nating i-redistribute equitably if not equally yung resources ng gobyerno para umabot ho pantay-pantay sa ating mga kababayan, ay nagpeg ng 160. But I don't think that it's a pork.
Meanwhile, health experts warned that measles outbreak might persist until the month of June. According to Dr. Nympha Putong, an expert on infectious diseases from the San Lazaro Hospital, the number of measles cases rise during the onset of the dry season based on the trend of measles infections recorded last year. This observation is similar to that of the Department of Health when Health Secretary Francisco Duque III projected that measles outbreak might peak in the month of March.
Painit ng klima, pataas din ng pataas ang cases ng ating measles. So, anticipatory na hanggang June nangyayari usually ang cases pa ng measles. So, we'll have to see for this year kung ganun din po.
Meanwhile, the DOH cannot tell yet as to when the outbreak will be declared under control, as the number has already skyrocketed to over 4,000 cases and 70 deaths. Due to the outbreak, the DOH has allowed infants aged 6 months and up to receive the measles vaccination. The previous age was 9 months of age. Health experts also advise parents to complete 3 shots of the vaccine to fight measles.
Kailangan na meron kang at least 2 doses after 1 year of age. Pagka nabigyan ka at 9 months, meron kang second dose at 12 to 15 months of age. At yung pangatlo, pwede mong ibigay at 4 years or kunyari ngayon may outbreak, pwede mo nang ibigay anytime as long as ang interval ay 4 weeks after the last vaccination.
The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, is faced with a huge task of monitoring campaign spending, even more so with the rise of social media as the most popular medium for candidates to widen their reach. In its resolution number 10488, Comelec has included rules on the use of social media as instruments for campaign. According to Comelec spokesperson Director James Jimenez, the poll body has required all candidates and political parties to submit the Uniform Resource Locator or URL of their official pages for the Comelec to monitor their social media activities. These include the website name and address, whether it's an official blog site or social media page. The Comelec also created a specific group of personnel who will focus on tracking down the candidates' online bloggers and social media influencers to lead them to the candidates and make sure that no one will be able to escape the rules. Jimenez emphasized, however, that hiring social media associates to comment or influence a discourse must be reported to the poll body to include it in the cost.
You either work hard or you work smart. So you go to the source. Yung mga gremlins na sinasabi mo, kung papansin mo, pareho naman sinasabi. Iisa naman ang template nila eh, no? So hanapin mo yung source. Wag ka masyadong wag tayo ma-obsess dun sa mga galamay. Dun tayo sa pinanggagalingan. So yun ang hahabulin namin. So far we're managing and we're able to keep up with the demand.
The poll body also clarified that they do not count any post from a person expressing an opinion that may benefit a candidate, especially those which cannot be considered as high-value promotions. The Commission on Elections is looking into create a special task force to study whether or not suspended Daraga Albay Mayor Carlwin Baldo should be allowed to return to office. This is after the Legazpi City Regional Trial Court Branch 10 granted Baldo's petition to post bail amounting to 3 million pesos in cash and 4 million pesos worth of property bond. The mayor was tagged as the mastermind in the murder of Ako Bicol Party List Representative Rodel Batocabe in December 2018. Baldo was arrested last January 22nd for illegal possession of firearms and explosives, but he was brought to a hospital the following day due to complaints of high blood pressure and asthma attack. The mayor was discharged from office due to the case.
Hanggat hindi pa sila nag-convene, whatever is allowed under the local government po. Sabi ng DILG na you comply with this first, then he can, kung ano ang requirements for reassumption under the code.
And for the news abroad, here's Stephanie C. live from Hong Kong. Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening, William. The sister of Thailand's king has said she is saddened that her bid to be the country's next prime minister has created a problem that shouldn't happen in this day and age. Princess Ubol Ratana was disqualified by the country's election commission on Monday. Her unprecedented nomination broke with the tradition of the Thai royal family publicly staying out of politics. King Vajiralongkorn had called her bid extremely inappropriate. U.S. President Donald Trump is looking to extend the March 1 deadline to reach a trade deal with China if they are making good progress. Chinese and U.S. officials will hold high-level talks this week aimed at halting their damaging trade war. U.S. officials previously said March 1 was a hard deadline for achieving a deal to avert further tariffs. Both countries have imposed duties on billions of dollars worth of one another's goods. Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido told supporters on Tuesday that humanitarian aid would enter the country on February 23, setting the stage for a showdown with President Nicolas Maduro, who refused to let supplies in. An aid convoy supplied by the United States and Colombia arrived in the Colombian border town of Cucuta last week, where it is being held in warehouses. A Venezuelan opposition envoy has also said Brazil's government would try to get humanitarian aid to the border. Maduro has denounced the aid as a U.S. orchestrated show to overthrow his socialist government and said it will not let into the country. He has demanded instead that Washington lift economic sanctions. Environmental authorities in Chile have warned locals not to eat dead cuttlefish that had washed up offshore in Bahia Inglesa. Meanwhile, a winter storm threatening to wall up Toronto prompts rare school closures in Canada. Beverly Saison tells us why.
In Chile, thousands of cuttlefish have mysteriously washed up on shore in Chile's Bahia Inglesa amidst pollution fears in this coastal area that is one of the country's main tourist hotspots. Locals say such an incident has not happened before, and environmental authorities are investigating and have warned locals not to eat the fish. There are fears that the waves of dead fish could damage the region's fishing industry, a major driver of the local economy. In Canada, Canadians are not easily put off by some winter snow, but even by Canadian standards, the storm that was set to wallop Toronto on Tuesday challenged some residents and promoted a rare local school closure. The winter storm was expected to dump as much as 25 centimeters of snow, as well as ice pellets on the region by Wednesday. The storm was expected to move out of the region on Wednesday. In USA, a BBC cameraman was attacked by a supporter of U.S. President Donald Trump while working at a rally in El Paso, Texas on Monday. Videos show the attacker being dragged away by another man wearing black while BBC cameraman Ron Skeens was trying to reposition his camera. A witness who filmed the footage said that the man popped out of nowhere and proceeded to shoving photographers and equipment. U.S. President Donald Trump has condemned the attack. Meanwhile, a person who went into an abandoned house so they could smoke cannabis found a neglected tiger inside. Police in Houston, Texas said that when the person called to report what they had seen on Monday, they thought the caller was hallucinating. But when they arrived, there was indeed a large tiger locked inside a cramped cage in the garage. Officers said that they will now investigate how it ended up there. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Stephanie C., reporting live from Hong Kong. Japan and other countries are set to implement a new regulation imposing strict and harmonized requirements for automatic braking in vehicles. Kath Dumaraos tells us why.
40 countries, including Japan and the European Union, have agreed on a draft UN regulation for advanced emergency braking systems, or AEBS, for new cars and light commercial vehicles within 4 years. UN Economic Commission for Europe spokesman Jean Rodriguez told reporters in Geneva, Switzerland, that the new regulation, compulsory for countries that adopted it at a June session, will impose strict and harmonized requirements for automatic braking at speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour, especially in urban settings.
So the system works like this. It will detect, cars will be equipped with a sensor to detect vehicles in front and also pedestrians. And in case the car detects that the driver does not take any action, there will be a warning. And if the driver still doesn't react, then the car will brake automatically.
There will be no obligation to retrofit older vehicles, he said. Japan plans to introduce the new regulation in 2020, while the EU is planning it for 2022. Japan and the EU have said the new system will become mandatory, representing some 4 million and 15 million new cars respectively each year. More than 9,500 fatalities were recorded in car crashes in cities in the EU in 2016.
This is estimated to lead to a significant reduction in crashes, up to 38%, almost 40% in those circumstances, and that could obviously save lives.
The United States, China, and India, which have huge domestic car makers, are not part of the original 1958 agreement on which the latest regulation builds. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Two chefs came together to create a large sculpture depicting King Kong made entirely out of milk chocolate in Montreal, Canada. The video captures chefs Amaury Guichon and Christophe Morel as they create the 6 feet tall edible artwork step by step using 61.2 kilograms of milk chocolate. The project, which took 26 hours to complete, depicts the famous movie monster standing on top of the Empire State Building. An eager dog has made its way to people's hearts during the Mazapan, a traditional Mexican parade in Oaxaca, Mexico. A video uploaded to social media showed the stray dog spinning and jumping around a woman carrying a basket with flowers. The woman eventually stopped when the dog is trying to reach her basket. Mazapan is a regular public event in the city. And those are the reasons behind the news, February 13, 2019. On behalf of Rheena, Villamor-Camara, and Angelo, Castro III, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
UNTV, your public service channel.